I became the female lead of an erotic novel and became the mistress of a popular actor. During the day, the abstinent actor attended various events with a dignified appearance. At night, as his assistant, I entered his room and he played my body as he pleased. However, just as he was sweating profusely on me, he was called away by someone else in the blink of an eye. I immediately called my familiar friends to follow him and captured his ambiguous interactions with a popular actress who had married into a wealthy family. Ding! Wisnovel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. Jerome Exton, what did you put inside me? I looked at the man in front of me in horror. He was naked and his perfect physique was fully displayed in front of me. His well-toned 8-pack abs, followed by black hair emanating a masculine aura, and a formidable weapon below. Something that will make you happy. You'll find out soon. Jerome narrowed his eyes slightly, a crazy and perverse expression that he often had. I was a little scared. Jerome was a cold and abstinent popular actor in public, but privately he was a pervert who had a high demand for pleasure. As the female lead of this erotic novel and his personal assistant, I was often pulled into the room after he finished work and did whatever he wanted. And now, this is the situation. Jerome tied me up in a cross shape on the bed and admired my body. He said, "Such a beautiful body." Feeling ashamed, I squirmed on the bed and begged him not to tie me up. "Lydia, it's more fun to play like this. You'll enjoy it." He approached me, his eyes filled with desire. The effect of the drug gradually took effect, and I felt a tingling and unbearable sensation in my lower body. I couldn't help but moan, and Jerome's eyes grew even deeper. Just then, the ringtone of a phone placed on the bedside table sounded. I recognized it. It was someone's exclusive ringtone. Looking at Jerome, he had already turned over and got up from me to answer the phone. "Kaylee, what's wrong? Don't cry, tell me where you are, I'll come find you right away." His voice was unexpectedly gentle, with a nervous expression. It was completely different from when he was facing me. After hanging up the phone, Jerome quickly put on his clothes and was about to leave. He no longer looked controlled by desire like before. I looked at his hurried appearance and couldn't help but plead. "Jerome, can you not leave tonight?" "No, Kaylee has encountered some trouble. I have to go to her now." "What about me?" With the drug he had put in me, I was already feeling restless. I gasped for breath and pleaded. "You can't just leave me here. Kaylee has a husband, she should just call her husband if something's wrong. Why is she looking for you so late at night? Lydia, be sensible." Jerome looked at me displeased, his tone icy cold. "Endure it for tonight." After saying that, he opened the door and left directly. "You bastard Jerome, at least untie me before you go." I shouted at the door, unable to bear it any longer. I felt sorry for the original owner of this body. Although she was the female lead, this setting was originally a tortured love story. At the beginning, the male lead didn't love the female lead. He just saw her as an object to satisfy his desires. The original owner had always silently endured it because she deeply loved Jerome and always compromised. Later, the male lead realized that he had unknowingly fallen in love with the female lead, and their relationship improved. But I am not her. Late affection is worthless. The phone was right beside me, and I struggled to make a call to an entertainment journalist I knew. "Hey, I have a major news story here. Will you pay $100,000 for it?" Hearing the sound of $100,000 being transferred to my account, I sneered and said to her, "Actor Jerome Exton has a secret rendezvous with Kaylee Stroud. Go and take the pictures yourself." I hung up the phone and gritted my teeth, thinking that since Jerome was heartless, it was not my fault for being unfaithful. I didn't know what drug Jerome had given me, but soon my whole body began to tingle and I couldn't bear it. But I was tied to the bed and couldn't make a move. I wanted to call for help, but I was afraid of being socially ruined. In the midst of various painful and unbearable sensations, the sheets beneath me became soaked with sweat. I grabbed the sheets, feeling as if ants were crawling all over me. I didn't know how much time had passed when I heard the sound of the door opening from outside. I looked towards the door as if I was being rescued, waiting for Jerome to save me. Jerome had indeed returned, but he was accompanied by another woman, Kaylee Stroud. She saw me and exclaimed in surprise, then immediately turning around and throwing herself into Jerome's arms. "Jerome, maybe I shouldn't have come here?" "Forget it, I'll leave so as not to disturb you." Her eyes turned red, looking like a typical delicate flower. It disgusted me. "Wait, shouldn't it be me who feels embarrassed and wants to escape from here? You said he hit you after drinking too much? With your current state, where else can you go? Just stay here." He helped her sit on the sofa opposite me and considerately poured her a cup of hot water, anxiously watching her drink it. As I watched the two of them exchange glances and flirt, I felt disgusted. Jerome really has no care for me. Even when I appeared in front of Kaylee like this, he didn't have any reaction. "But I'm afraid of disturbing you. I better leave." Kaylee glanced at me, her eyes filled with hostility that I understood. Soon, she regained her composure and pretended to leave with a broken-hearted look. "You don't disturb me at all. Lydia doesn't mind." Jerome stopped her and pushed her back. Kaylee glanced at me secretly and then looked away, blushing. She struggled to speak. "Lydia, you too." As she spoke, her voice trailed off and she covered her face, looking shy. Only then did Jerome turn to look at me, furrowing his brows slightly. He sounded displeased. "Why are you still not wearing any clothes?" I felt so aggrieved and speechless. In a soft and weak tone, imitating Kaylee's manner of speaking, I said to him, "You left in a hurry and didn't untie the rope for me." I struggled for a long time but couldn't free myself. My wrists are all scraped. Jerome seemed to realize what a foolish thing he had done. He came over to me, and I immediately raised my hand to show him. Indeed, my skin was scraped, and it was really painful. "Jerome, it hurts." Jerome furrowed his brows the whole time. He untied the rope for me and saw that my fair wrist was really scraped. He was displeased. "You're not allowed to hurt yourself in the future. I don't like scars." What a scumbag. He only thinks about his own satisfaction. Even when I'm injured, he only cares about his own likes and dislikes. Ouch! Suddenly, Kaylee's painful cry came from the other side. Jerome quickly let go of my hand and walked over to her. He squatted in front of her, anxiously asking, "Kaylee, what's wrong?" "It's nothing, just a bit of pain in my leg. I guess when you pushed me down earlier, I hit it." "It's okay. Let me take a look." Jerome lifted her skirt, but there was nothing on her fair and smooth leg. Kaylee blushed and tried to pull her leg back, but Jerome said worriedly, "I'm not at ease. I'll call a doctor to have a look. It wouldn't be good if it affects your future dancing." Jerome walked to the side and made a phone call. I put on my clothes and got out of bed. Because of the medicine I took earlier, my body was still trembling. Kaylee stared at me intently, full of provocation in her eyes. This woman knew that Jerome liked her back then, but she still stubbornly married into a wealthy family. Unfortunately, the life of a wealthy family is not as good as she expected, and there are occasional rumors of her being abused by her husband Dickon. And every time she encountered a problem, she would call Jerome. Incidents like today, where she humiliates the original owner, Lydia, have happened many times before. Kaylee never cared about the original owner and always provoked her, taking advantage of Jerome's love for her, forcing the original owner to leave and giving them space. Today, I simply took the initiative to leave. Seeing that I was about to leave, she mockingly called out to me, "Lydia, where are you going so late?" "I'm just afraid that Miss Kaylee might feel inconvenienced if I stay here, so I'll sleep somewhere else." Kaylee smirked at me, as if saying, "You know your place." The place I am in is a hotel, and the nearby area is the Vertical Store Film and Television City, where many film crews are stationed. And at the end of the corridor on the other side is Corbin Mercer, Jerome's archenemy, who is also from the same company and is a promising actor. Although they are from the same company, the two of them often secretly compete for resources, and their fans are also at odds with each other. In this erotic novel setting, Corbin likes me very much. He even confronted Jerome several times because of my relationship with Jerome. At this moment, I stood in front of Corbin's door and gently knocked on it. "Thank you for taking me in." I held the cup of hot water and drank it, my eyes slightly downcast, with a look of resilience and brokenness. "I shouldn't have bothered you." But my ID card is in his room, and I don't want to go back there. And I have nowhere else to go. My eyes turned red as I spoke, and I was wearing a silk pajamas, with my arms and legs exposed. As the female lead in the erotic novel, my body would turn pink when I got nervous or excited, making people drool. At this moment, Corbin Mercer stared at my exposed chest, his eyes fixed. "It's okay. You can stay here tonight." "No, you can stay as long as you want," he said, leaning slightly and gripping my shoulder. There was a hint of danger in his eyes. The atmosphere was becoming tense when my phone rang. It was a call from Jerome Exton. "Where have you been?" Jerome's voice came through the phone, filled with suppressed anger. Before I could say anything, Corbin took my phone and shut it off. I looked at him in confusion, and he patted my head. "Don't you hate him? Let's just ignore him and go to sleep early." Although Jerome was a scumbag, Corbin wasn't any better. He had been jealous of Lydia because she only had eyes for Jerome, which led to his twisted mind. Because he has always coveted Lydia Patton, and in Lydia's eyes, there has only ever been Jerome, which caused Corbin to be jealous and mentally disturbed. There was even a time when the original owner of this body faced trouble with Jerome and encountered Corbin, who comforted her gently. Taking advantage of her distraction, he took her to his private villa and kept her imprisoned. He made her talk about the details of what she did with Jerome while angrily biting the female protagonist, as if trying to erase all traces Jerome made on her body. He said, "Lydia, stay by my side, and I will love you more than Jerome." Now, looking into Corbin Mercer's deep eyes, I couldn't help but shiver, feeling a sense of danger. "Don't worry, you can sleep on the bed, and I'll sleep on the sofa. I won't touch you if you don't want me to," Corbin said and lay down on the other side of the sofa. Indeed, Corbin didn't do anything inappropriate that night. But even with my eyes closed, I could still feel his gaze on me. He was watching me like a tiger. The next morning, I woke up and checked my phone. The hot search was filled with Jerome Exton's late-night rendezvous with Kaylee Stroud, spending the night together in a hotel, and it was even trending. See, there are always consequences for having an affair with a married person. Here it is. Because of this scandal, Jerome's team of agents went crazy. At this moment, in the nanny car, the agent had been scolding Jerome for an hour. "Why did you have to choose Kaylee Stroud? Don't you know who she is? Are you trying to ruin your acting career?" My phone has been bombarded with messages since early this morning, with all the partners asking for information. "We are just friends. I didn't do anything with her. She just slept in my room for one night," Jerome explained, his handsome face darkening. "I don't care if you had a relationship with her or not. But what everyone sees now is that the two of you spent the night together in a hotel. All sorts of speculations have come out online. I've already used my connections to take down the trending topic, but the impact still remains." Seeing Jerome in such pain, I felt secretly delighted. Suddenly, his gaze turned towards me, staring at my face. "Why didn't you answer my call last night? Where did you go?" I explained with a hint of grievance. "I left because I didn't want to disturb you and Kaylee." Corbin saw that I had nowhere to go and no ID card, so he let me stay in his room for the night. So, it was him who hung up on me? Jerome was smart enough to figure out the logic behind it. I weakly nodded, biting my lip and reddening my eyes. "I didn't want to pick up your call either. I deliberately pretended to be jealous, so that he wouldn't suspect my involvement."